Hello everyone, Joe Theodore here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I would like to discuss with you the upcoming Mercury retrograde that will begin at 4 degrees Virgo and conclude at 21 degrees Leo. And then for most of the beginning of September, we'll cruise all the way back to 4 degrees Virgo, of course, and then continue its journey on through Virgo, pretty much through all of September, to be honest. But this retrograde, in my opinion, is more of a Leo retrograde because within a few short days, it'll be back in Leo, right? So yes, we have to take into consideration what is going on in the beginning, the first 4 degrees in Virgo in your birth chart, of course. But I feel really within a couple of days, we're just dipping right back into Leo, you know? So for me, because Leo has been so activated in our lives with Pluto going opposite Mercury, Venus, and then the Sun, and now we are going to have a massive retrograde cycle where Mercury will be dominantly in Leo, we must focus more on Leo versus Virgo, okay? Because when the retrograde concludes officially and the integration phase is over, and Mercury gets back to 4 degrees Virgo, which will be in September, then we can really understand what Mercury in Virgo will be. You know, the true manifestation of Mercury in Virgo, we will not actually know until we get completely done with the entire start to finish cycle of this retrograde. So we have been in the we've been in the pre-shadow, phase since I think like mid-July, about a week-ish now. Today is July 24th that I'm recording this. So we've been in the pre-shadow since 21 degrees Leo. And literally, I believe the day it was at 21, we already started seeing in the collective world stage things starting to slow down, people reassessing things. There was a lot of decision making happening. You know, we had a president really stepping down in a way and we're getting off the ground, a completely new shift in the Democratic Party, for example. And we're also starting to see the beginning of the Republican Party scrambling, you know, to try to figure out, like, what do we do now? You know, their entire campaign was built around one message, you know, to take down one particular candidate. And this is going to be part of the retrograde story in a massive way. And like I've said in my recent videos, there's not one thing I probably won't talk about here that will not have a direct link to something massive happening in the political world. But that does not mean I'm going to be talking about politics all the time. I made a promise to myself for the channel to not heavily discuss that. But I will make references, of course, time to time. But in today's video, I don't even think I'm going to bring up politics at all. I want to just talk to you about what I think this moment is for you, right? And I want you to know the Leo part of your life. And this is going to be part one of probably a few parts because I see this Mercury retrograde being a couple of different things. And by the title of this video today, I want to talk about reigniting passion, right? I think this is a major theme for this retrograde. Now, there's so many parts of our lives that are so different and we all have different stories and journeys, but you know, one thing that Leo wants us to constantly do in that part of our life is to have some kind of passion there, you know, to have courage, to have energy and vitality, you know, and to even have pleasure out of that. So for me, reigniting passion is a major lesson that I think we are going to be faced with. Now, when we do discuss politics, you know, there is a moment for both sides that are trying to find out what they're passionate about. Like, how can we reignite, you know, the flame to our followers? Like, how can we build trust and have enthusiasm and energy, in a positive way even. And that is something that is lost in politics, to be quite honest. But even on that level, it's so very clear. And that's why sometimes pointing to what goes on in the world, whether you like to hear it or not, is extremely important to kind of let the truth of astrology sink in. I mean, using, what's going on in the political world right now in respect to what's going on in Leo. This Leo retrograde is happening for all of us. So, and then yes, the specifics of what's house topic makes all the difference. But sometimes, when we look at the world, we just sort of see the theme play out, and it doesn't necessarily have to fall into the realm of a house topic. It's just, there's so many different dimensions of the way astrology manifests. And what's clear is that both sides of the political aisle at this moment in time, because things are being so shaken up, people are shifting and pivoting, that a passion, people need to reignite their passion. On Trump's side, he and his base need to reignite passion, considering that the entire left has just decided to change the political game with a new person. So both sides are reigniting and trying their best to figure out, how do we move forward? How do we do the best we can to win this thing? So this retrograde cycle, and we've been seeing it in the pre-shadow already, we're going to see even more of it during the retrograde itself throughout all of August, right? And in the August forecast I just recorded yesterday, which will be out here on YouTube within, it's already on Patreon, by the way. So if you want to sign up for Patreon, to be a paid member, you can go watch the forecast now. It's 40 something minutes long, but I talk a lot about the retrograde there. And it's going to be a massive story throughout all of August, because it's happening throughout all of August, and I think so many of us are going to be faced with reigniting passion. So that doesn't mean you're going to necessarily be hitting a wall of chaos. Like the retrograde that happened during the solar eclipse which is when I started the channel. That I could safely say was a retrograde of chaos. That was an emotional, Chiron activated Mercury retrograde. We were dealing with an eclipse that was extremely sensitive that it was happening on Chiron. And a lot of us were having like mini identity crises. We were really coming face to face with, I believe, just thoughts and things manifesting in the Aries part of our life that, really made us question stuff about ourselves, right? Because Aries is a very self-oriented sign. It's about the identity. And no matter what house topic Aries is in, there's probably a very deep identification with yourself there. There's something that's very core to who you think you are, right? But this one, I think, is a little bit easier. And to be honest, I'll just mention this really quickly because I just want to stick to the reigniting your passion thing. But when Mercury goes retrograde, right, it'll be at 4 degrees Virgo. Within a couple of days, because Venus will be freshly ingressed into Virgo. So Mercury will be moving backwards, Venus will be moving forwards, and they will provide a conjunction within like the first 2 days of the retrograde cycle. I believe that when Venus conjuncts Mercury, within the first 2 to 3 days of the retrograde cycle, I believe something good is going to happen. I believe we're going to have a dose of Venusian influence with the retrograde. So right off the bat, I think we're going to have a moment of, inspiration. I think we're going to have a moment of, just Venusian receptivity. And something might, I feel like there could be a burst of inspiration just in the beginning of the retrograde. I think we're just going to get hit with something that really inspires us, makes us feel good. And it could be you getting the answer you need immediately, because part of me feels like the pre-shadow might be more intense at the moment than the actual retrograde, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I know it may not make any sense, but to me, when I see Venus going to conjoin Mercury so soon into its actual retrograde cycle, and then Mercury will dip back into Leo, I'm saying, oh my God, Venus is going to do something to Virgo, to Mercury here, before Mercury gets back into Leo. And I think that's going to be a really positive omen. Like I'm looking at that like, okay, that's a positive omen. Something, will be inspiring there. Now, when it comes to Leo, examine what stories are manifesting in that part of your life. I truly believe something has been losing passion there. There's been a dispassion somewhere. There's been a roadblock. There has been a questioning. There has been maybe even some anger because, a fire sign can get fired up. Don't get it twisted. All fire signs have the potential for angry outbursts. Okay. We're dealing with the flame. So, I don't care how beautiful Leo is and compared to, maybe Aries, because Aries can be more known for their quick temper, or temper generally speaking. But all fire signs can get fired up, right? Now, I believe we're going to have to really analyze what's going on in the particular event or the situations that Mercury is influencing there. And again, Mercury is about the mind, it is about the way we communicate. So something will be, something is going to be asking you to reactivate your passion. You'll be questioned. What do you need to do to reactivate the passion here? Because I think you're seeking the passion once again somewhere in your life. And I think that might have been just taken away from you, in some way, shape, or form. And even this could be just basic inspiration. Now, I'll use politics for a moment, okay? So Trump is a Leo rising. The Republican Party has been blindsided with Joe Biden stepping down and Kamala literally rising up, right? The entire Trump campaign was built around burying Joe Biden, right? Yes, talking about the policies they don't like, and plus their Republican vision of things that are completely opposite, really, of the Democratic vision. But between Trump's speeches that are pretty much the same every time he speaks, the rhetoric that he hates Joe, like everything, they have to literally rewrite all new speeches. They have to, find a way to, fight a new force, because it was so much easier to attack an old man who could barely speak versus, a woman of color who is young and youthful, and whether you like her or not, she has more energy and she can fight back quicker than Joe Biden. So the point is he has a contender that is more fired up and will fight back and will go for his jugular, So Mercury going retrograde in his first house of identity, of self, he is bubbling with anger. He is trying, he's going to be in a very deep review process all of August of how are we going to get our campaign on track, and to the public eye, we may not even notice that they're trying to figure things out. They may just keep coming with their attacks and their new speeches. And, this is just the nature of politics. But it's very clear that Mr. Trump is going to be having a really hard time, with his communication. I think he's really, he got hit off his horse, and they have to really reorganize everything. So this is a Mercury retrograde classic moment, if you really want to understand. They're literally rewinding the tape. They need to rewrite the script, and they need to find a way to really come, to the world stage, to the media, and really put up a new fight, essentially. And this is also very Leo-like, So, and I'll leave the politic comments there, but that's a really good example. It's like going back to the drawing board, finding out new passion to bring into your speech, to your thoughts, and, in the worst of senses, you could be getting more angry and rage-filled and more hateful, of course. And Mars is in Gemini, which is also activating so much politically, especially in, Trump's chart. But I think you understand what I'm saying. So for all of us, we have to look at what Leo is. We have to see where things need to be rewritten. Where can we find new passion in our life there? Because I feel that's what's getting affected. Something we're passionate about, is being affected. And I'm not saying affected in a bad way. where things are falling apart. I mean, for Trump, it seems like things are falling apart. Okay. So in his case, things are falling apart, even though they're really not. They just need to go back to the drawing board and figure some things out. But generally speaking, they need to look for passion again. They need to have passion for their new fight. In our life, we need to examine, what's going off the road right now, and how can we, come back into the Leo part of our life, whatever this event is, and bring new life into it. So this Mercury retrograde, to me, in one of the many dimensions, is reigniting the flame of passion. And that doesn't mean whatever is being affected needs to be cleared away 100%. Things just need to be readjusted. And I think this is a mental adjustment, right? It's a mental adjustment. Because once the mental adjustment comes, then the physical manifestations will follow. So for us, there could be something in the Leo part of your life that, in your mind just threw you off. Something might have occurred and you're like losing passion in this one thing, or losing passion in this one person, or whatever the case may be. But this could have just been only a minor hiccup that needs to be addressed. And only time will unfold exactly the solutions to these problems. And that's really just the mystery of being a human too. We're never going to have the answers to every problem. But what we do have is the map of the energies that will be at play here. So one of those energies is passion. So whatever will get you back to being passionate is usually the best way to kind of navigate this, okay? And to really ask yourself the hard questions, like, what do I need in this part of my life to feel that passion again? Or do I just need to course correct a couple of little things, and then this new insight will probably come to me, and then I'll be on the right track again, right? So I have a few more videos I'll probably make on the retrograde, maybe one or two more. And I just want to name those, I want to focus on different themes I think that are going to arise for this retrograde cycle, which to me is dominantly in Leo. But I think reigniting passion is massive, right? Because something is convincing us, or something has revealed itself to us, or will reveal itself to you if it has not already. But we should be feeling some of that now. Like, what are we losing passion in this part of our life? What is starting to lose its flavor, And this is one of the major themes, right? And there's going to be there'll be another theme too. A couple of other themes I want to bring up, One of them may be around leadership, like feeling more control in something in your life. You may feel you've lost control in something. But in a sense, that is, because we can kind of find a way. We can say in almost every zodiac sign, oh, there's a way to lose control here. But no, Leo wants to be a leader, right? So there could be something in your life that you thought you had a really good handle on that is being questioned or being taken away from you, or, something is just not working out the way you want it to. And that is going to be a whole different conversation, separate from passion, right? So the passion part is like the energy that gets sucked away from you when you do maybe start losing something. So in the next talk I want to make, probably in a week or so from now, we will talk about, leadership, and we'll talk about control and what to do when we feel we're losing that control, right? Because I think part of the Leo story in the retrograde cycle will be a mental game on feeling like we're out of control somewhere, right? But again, I feel this cycle is not going to be bad as other retrograde cycles, because Venus will be influencing it immediately. And I think we'll be able to figure out, the issues relatively quickly. And then a majority of the retrograde cycle will be like, okay, I know what needs to be dealt with. I know what has to be done. But the rest of the retrograde cycle will be like a process of like doing your homework. And then when the retrograde cycle is over, like the homework will be, be done, and you can start to really put all of your research into action, right? But I think the problems will be solved, like the issues that you've been having or whatever's manifesting in the Leo part of your life. You will already know what to do, very quickly into the retrograde cycle, because some retrograde cycles, we kind of figure out all the hard stuff like throughout the heaviness of the retrograde cycle. But I think we're going to find out the heaviness before we even go retrograde and right after Venus has that conjunction, right? So by the end of the first week in August, I think we're going to know what we're dealing with. And then all of August, which is pretty much the entire retrograde cycle, because it ends, I think, on the 29th, we will already be working towards massive solutions and understandings. All right, my friends. Well, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you stayed to the end. Check out all my links and services down below, and I will see you next time.